Yep. Yep. Check, check. Check, check. Yeah. Let's go. I'm 1 minute early because I'm so excited to start this one. It's going to be a fun stream. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. If it's your first time here, well, you are not going to be bothered by the kind of unusual setup. If it's not your first time, you'll think, what is happening here? Where is the easel and when are we starting painting? The response is we're not. We're not. Today we're making, I'm not going to say sculpting, it's not sculpting, I'm making copies of sculptures like this. Hold on. Things like this. And I'm gonna be making them with you. It's, you know, a whole process. I need them for my drawing projects. I need, you know, short. It's like almost like a detailed excerpt of a larger sculpture. So basically, it simplifies the study, and it also makes eventually, but I'm not promising anything, but it makes shipping much more affordable. Hold that thought. Hold that thought. Hello everybody. Hello Jacques. Hello Clarissa. Hello Cody. Sue. I miss you. Oh, I miss you too. I miss you every time I stop going live. It's like I'm alone in my studio. It's like, you know, this is the part of me that's missing. It's you guys. Thank you for being here. Alright, let me remove this. Alright, so my friends, today we're gonna do that. We're gonna make a cast. We're gonna mold. We're gonna cast. We're gonna play with silicone, and we're gonna play with plaster. So forget about the brushes, forget about the charcoal. That's for another exercise. So basically, when I have all my like resources and materials, then I'll do the pencil stuff. But first, I need this. So this is from a bigger sculpture, like a cast. This is plaster. And I made this copy myself. It's called a mask, but even more than that, like a typical mask, just in the academical world, a typical mask. Hold on, let me grab both. This is what you find typically. This would be a mask. This is called a mask, and you buy this at like a very specialized store. Not a lot of people do that. I think in the US you have couple shops that do that, namely Fountainhead Gypsoteca, that makes these and ships them worldwide. But it's expensive. Shipping is expensive. I ordered one and shipping was like 90 euros. I don't know how much it makes in dollars, but it was crazy. This would be a mask. This is pretty heavy. This is plaster, even though it's empty in the back. It's pretty heavy, and the teaching project that I have uses a lot of these casts. The only problem is, like, I don't want to go through the trouble of like handling all these, copying them. Like, it's a lot of plaster and it's heavy. So I'm working on the project of making mini masks that, first of all, are much more solid. Like the smaller they are, the less potential for issues during shipping. So this is what I'm thinking of right now. I'm making these masks so that I can maybe work on this drawing project and have like the little casts that go with it. But that's just the idea. I first need to see what it represents in terms of work. How much work is this really, and can I handle it? Florent, thanks for all our hard work. I've been a professional musician for 30 years, but now I've discovered even more expensive hobby thanks to you. You're welcome, my friend. You're gonna love it. And like, just like me, after investing for years in painting gear, now I'm going to start investing in silicone and plaster and all the 3D thing shenanigans. I still, like, I had this space before, but if I'm gonna produce them, I need to have something really, I need to have a strong process, almost like industrial. Because if I want to allow people to place orders for these one day, but that's still an idea in the making. I'm not saying this is what I'm gonna do, because you know it might be too much trouble. But if I make this a thing one day, who knows? I need to know if it's going to be a viable option, right? So that's what I'm currently thinking, but nonetheless, I'm still going to produce the little copies. I call them mini masks, and they're going to be useful for lots of stuff. Did you see the digital painting Cybernaut made for me? It's so awesome. So this is your profile pic, is it? That's cool. Really cool. Shout out to Cybernaut. Shout out. All right. So let me know which sculpture are we starting with? This one. This is the Diane. The Diane. We can start with this one. You let me know. We have 3 options. We have Dante here. I need to make the Dante. The mask, I might want to make the mask slightly bigger, maybe with the entire nose, I don't know. The Dante here. The Molière I have done already, and here it's here. So this would be the final thing. So this is my mold. This is the mold. Oh, hold on. I need to change cams. This is my mold. So this is a silicone mold. This is called, in French, it's called a sock mold, basically because it's a mold that's kind of flexible, and you can sort of unwrap it, and you get this. This is the Molière, so very small mini mask. This one might be the cheapest because I think it's going to be the smallest of the two. See, I'm really thinking about the trouble of, you know, shipping them. The entire thing is, how feasible is it for me as a single person? Like, you know, I'm a one-man company. So is it feasible or not? That's one thing, while I'm still making the paintings and all. So this would be in blue. It's the silicone mold. Hold on, I'm noticing that it's maybe overexposed. Exactly, I'm a one-man army. True. Oh, maybe it's too dim now. All right, so in blue is the silicone mold. So flexible, and in white here is the plaster. It's the mother mold, and this one is not flexible. And you can technically just mold plaster on plaster, but it's very technical because plaster is not flexible. So once plaster is set, like you have to do it as sort of a puzzle with multiple pieces, otherwise it will not, you can't take your reproduction when it's done with the casting. So whenever you cast something, you have to think, how on earth am I going to take this off when I'm done? That's the whole thing. Where are the other mods? This is middle summer, so I'm not surprised. Like, where are all the other viewers? It's the same thing. Everybody's on vacation, enjoying their summer somewhere. You know, can't blame them. So I'm gonna grab some clay. Okay, I'm not trying to make too much of a mess with my clay. And with my clay, I'm going to try to make some sort of a little fence for my silicone. I'm gonna make some sort of an edge. I'm working out my clay. Hopefully it's not too noisy. I'm gonna have my hands dirty for this entire session, so okay, let me just check where I'm checking where I okay. Alright. So I'm working my clay. Yeah, so basically I'm gonna make a little wall of clay around the area that I want to pour the silicone in, and then I'm going to do that. But there's a couple steps, because I need to make first a sort of a first shot. I need to make some sort of a first shot cast, and when I'm done with the first, then I need to remake a second mold, because the first one will probably have some, you know, imperfections that I don't want for the final. So I'm gonna make two molds actually. The first one is a sort of a first draft. I'm gonna correct the imperfections and polish the final product, and then make a finalized mold that will and then, yeah, okay, I lost track because I was listening to chat. What's going on? Okay, you're in switch to mobile, so in non-mod status. Okay. All right, so we have Cody. You're the only one holding the boat afloat. No, but like, no problem. Like it's not like there's a lot of people, so. The tools I use to draw, like I'm not gonna draw today, but if it's interesting to you, yeah, sure. I'm using typically graphite and charcoal. That's all. My friend Cody here has been bothering me for pen and ink, so I need to do some pen and ink sessions at some point. Really need that. So I'm gonna make this little wall. So this little slice of clay I'm gonna use here, and I'm gonna position. Yeah, you know, next time if you're more interested in this kind of stuff, you tell me by answering the poll. And next time I'll have a camera that faces down, because here, yeah, it's difficult to see. I'm aware of that. It's just what I was doing at the moment. I didn't have more time than that. to, you know, fix this kind of stuff. So the screenshot showed a pic from the last stream. Yeah, it's glitchy. That's odd, because the fact that maybe it shows a sort of a black screen would not be surprising. But this is something that I was not prepared for. I don't know. First time I hear about this glitch kind of thing. I don't know. Me in front of the ear painting? That's weird. Yeah. Alright. Don't know. So, I'll show you as soon as I'm done. But if you want, if you kind of like the idea of me working 3D and not on a flat surface as I normally do, just go ahead and use the little poll to let me know that you'd be interested. And yeah, next time maybe I'll make more of an effort to give you a cam. Maybe I can take this one. Maybe like that. Yeah, good special. Maybe change of pace. I guess for me as well. It's not like I want to specialize in this, but the thing is, I want to create more of my resources for anatomy. I have a big anatomy kind of project, sort of a sort of exploration of human anatomy for artists. And you know, a lot of the best resources are those that are in like 3D. So I'm considering actually modeling myself my own resources. So like the anatomy of some type of muscle, like I'm considering building it with clay and then using it for my drawing and painting resources. So that's kind of the idea, and that's the same way I'm using the casts here, you know. How to combine colors and appear natural? Yeah, sure, I can do that. Appear natural? That's a great idea. Great idea. It's a good topic, I think. Interesting. Alright, so not too big, because the bigger, the more expensive it will be. And I want to make them as cheap as I can, because these things are not cheap. I don't know if you've ever tried to look for an actual cast like that. These things are... These little casts are expensive, so my idea is to make a very small one that's very easy to produce. Pretty much. It's pretty much wearing a visor. You know, what was this kind of Apple thing where you have like the goofy thing on top of your face? Like they probably use these kind of molding techniques. You know, the same techniques like the moldings they use also for special effects to create the the masks for that you see in the monsters and all. Like they mold the face of the actors, and then they create the masks for them out of their face. Whenever they have, like, you know, the huge scar and all. Yeah, the vision, the Apple Vision. The Apple Vision. Is it how is it going? How is this product doing, really? Because when I first saw it, I was so skeptical. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it has like an actual purpose other than looking dumb. Is it already out of fashion? Hey Chris, sorry, my screen is relatively small, so it's pretty tough to see. So this is it. This is how my dude looks, and I'm gonna pour the silicone inside of this little pool. So I'm gonna make this this into a little pool of silicone and pour here. That's all. And after that, I'm gonna cast in it. So I have my silicone here. I'm gonna use the blue. I have two of them. I have one big one here, my big boy silicone, which is the more technical one in this big bucket here. But this one is tricky to make. It's annoying and it's slow setting. So I know for sure that if I use this one, it will never set during the stream. It will just it will set too slowly. But the blue, I think the blue is like a 12-minute. And what's great about this one, as you can see here, it's just half and half. Actually, I'm gonna first, before I mix the silicone, a little coat of black soap, just to help the release. So that I just brush the plaster with black soap to help the release of the mold after it sets. And yeah, it's gonna kind of get dirty because of the clay, but you know, I can always clean it up later. It's not like it was perfectly clean before. Okay. So yeah, this silicone right here, the blue one, is very nice because it's just half and half. So no worries. And let's mix 50 grams. I want to pour 50 grams of the blue one. Very quiet, yeah. Well, 50 viewers for middle of July. It's decent. It's just, well, people are more quiet. Maybe it's because I'm doing something kind of unusual. And like maybe you guys are not as interested in just talking about silicone as I am. I'm not. Silicone is kind of boring, but it's helpful. What can I say? So I need to pour 52 grams. That's good, because this one, because it's half and half, if you overshoot, you can always like correct. All right, let's go for 52. Generally, you have the elastomer and the catalysts. The elastomer is the elastomer is the blue one, and the catalyst, the white one. Just if you want to be nerdy about that. All right, let's mix them properly and really well. Otherwise, like you really want to exactly. You're gonna watch silicone dry. You really want to have a nice mix. Nice and even, otherwise it will never dry. And that's a problem. You'll not just watch that. There's going to be tons of fun stuff. Hey, who never wanted to be a sculptor? Like, this is the kind of stuff that sculptors have to deal with every day. Like, you think they're just working on their project, but it's not like painting. Like, for a sculpture, you need to have some sort of a model. So you first model with clay, and then you for example, marble. You think, oh yeah, just take a block of marble and just carve. No, like, if you want realism, high realism, carving is just, well, you can freestyle and carve just freestyle, but it's very, very risky and tricky to do. So typically what you would do, like the way it's been done since the Renaissance, and typically even earlier than that, before that, is you would first model with clay, because clay is more malleable. Actually, yeah, I don't get the entire nose. It's a short mask. I call them mini masks. So typically, yeah, as I was saying, you would just first do a... I hope you can see. I'm sorry, but I have to leave it flat for the moment. When I'm pouring everything, I'll sort of rotate it. So you would just do a first model with clay, then you would copy your clay model with... So usually you could... The problem with clay is you can keep your clay and then use a machinetta. So it's a machine that basically transfers the model and helps you transfer the volume from your model to the marble. But the problem with the clay is just it's too flexible and just it's kind of impractical because it's not durable enough. So you typically do a second copy with plaster. This is what we're doing. And then from this copy with plaster, you would use it as a model with your machinetta to just transfer the points, so the coordinates, the spatial coordinates of your volume, but with so the chisel you would not be guessing, because the problem with the chisel is, like, if you take off too much, it's gone forever, and basically your block of marble is as good as nothing. It's not good anymore, so you have no sculpture anymore because you just slightly took off just too much matter. Can't bring it back. Oops, it's gonna drool. No, okay. This, I've ordered some silicone paste. Will be easier to do for next time. This one will have to do. It's annoying because it's too drippy and fluid. So I've got to be the one putting it here. And it's starting to set. You feel like it's starting to be like an old chewing gum. It's going to go very fast until it's not workable at all anymore. Like this one sets pretty quickly. So now it's time to just cover the prominences here. I've got to use it now or it will be lost. Oh, that's it. That's it. I'm done. Okay, here I still have some. It's already setting. Goes pretty fast. Oops. And there you go. There you go. So this would be my first mold for my first sort of print. So now I have it looks like sackcloth pretty much. I'm gonna change the lens so that you can see the details a little bit more. Gonna have to get used to how dirty sculpting is. So there you go, you see all the how it's kind of sticky, starting to set. So I'm gonna wait quietly and I can prepare the walls for the next one. Now I'll do them in batches because why not? This one can wait. So I can do the DN next. The Diane. Maybe this would be Diane. Hey, let's check something. Let me check if I can slightly change the camera angles. Yeast. Yeah, it's very gooey. Like, it really looks more like an old chewing gum, to be perfectly honest. So I'm going to try to see if I can get a better positioned cam. If my wires go far enough, maybe I can do it. Yeah, but it looks kind of like an old, like, kneaded paste, I guess. So, maybe it will be too big for you. The best I have here, given the angle. Right. And same thing, so I'm gonna make a little mask for her as well. I'm gonna do the same thing. Yeah, so July is pretty quiet, right? So next week, by the way, there will be no stream. But, you know, not a lot of viewers these times, so this time viewer. You know, people go around, do their stuff, enjoy life. Yeah, I have a meeting with my my mayor. So I'll be back on time for streaming. No, has nothing to do with the castle. It's just, you know, local stuff. Oh yeah, the ads. I hate them, but you know, also I have 2 kids and they sort of pay for the sort of pay for the kids, right? In a way. The ads have been aggressive. Maybe like YouTube thinks, alright, there's not enough people watching, but I'm gonna make the best out of those who do. So we don't have a lot of viewers, but I'm gonna be aggressive with the, you know, every day I come back to YouTube and they've increased the ad time every day. Never misses. Like I remember, what was it, like 2 years ago, it was like 15 seconds. And I was like, what? This is super slow, it's super long. And then the couple months after that, it was like 18, and after that it was like you had 2 breaks, like 2 ads. Like the first is 15 seconds and the second one is at least 5. And no, I don't even know what it is. I think it's 18 seconds for at least the first one. every day they become more and more, you know, aggressive, and they're not paying me more. I can assure you that. It's not like they're paying the. It's not like they're paying the the creators more. That's one thing that I can assure you. Alright, see you later. Alright. Little brushy brush. Four sets of ads? Wow. Crazy. It's very silly to put so many ads. And ads for what? This is the thing. Like, when the ads are for, you know, I don't know, like some type of drawing thing or like an art related thing, I don't really mind. Like, I'm bothered, but less. But when it's for, you know, like a bullshit weight loss miracle solution, or like an unrealistic game that doesn't exist, or you know, look, this is very like some like a satisfying ASMR. Like, see, for your ASMR needs, you can pull it out in one bit. Hello, San Antonio. Almost make a little glass out of it. Alright, so let's pour a second one. More of the blue. We want the blue stuff. We want more of the blue stuff. Heisenberg. That's why they call us Heisenberg. I need a little box for my trash. Where can I find a little box? Take this one. Okay. There you go. All right. So more of the blue stuff. I'm not a sculptor at all, so I'm just making copies, right? So this here is the original, and I'm making a little mask copy for drawing purposes. So I'm not a sculptor. Exactly, the famous plastic cup, which was a model praised by Michelangelo and all these guys. A very renowned exercise of the Renaissance to paint the the El Famoso plastic cup. So I need to go to 102 grams. We do the usual. This could be an ASMR, really. Like, I just need to have more of the decorum, the mic, and the mood. This stuff has ASMR potential. You'll see when I take it off, you'll see. Okay. Question is, do I do the Michelangelo as well? Yeah, I should, I guess. So next I'm gonna do the Michelangelo. Michelangelo is a big one, so I'll need to make it a little cushion of sorts. Okay. Right, let's pour. No time to waste. Oops, it's overflowing. Ouch. There's a quick fix for that. Oops. I didn't think ahead. You can peel it off. That's very satisfying. This stuff is pretty cool. Right, now I'm gonna scoop it. I didn't notice it's not perfectly flat, it's slightly angled. I wish I have the paste so much. Basically, there's this stuff also comes in modeling paste that's not liquid. So it holds itself much better. Okay, where are we? Okay, it's starting to set. So now it's time to cover the crucial areas. Usually you can work it for 3 minutes. Alright, no problem. Like, it's going to be pretty chill here, pretty slow, so don't think you'll really miss out on a lot. You'll probably miss out on a little bit of ASMR, but I guess Bible reading is much better. There you go. This one is done. So now for the Michelangelo. I'm doing them in batches, which is, I guess it's smart. I just don't know what I'll do when I have to do all the plaster, because plaster sets more much slower. The blue thing is the silicone. So I'm making a mold, making a silicone mold, and right here I'm making a first mold to then transfer. So I want to take, basically this mold is going to capture the print of how the eyes are shaped. It's going to keep this in the shape of the mold. Then I'm going to pour some plaster in. I'll have a positive copy, and then I'll use this copy and I'll reshape it, polish it, and do a second mold, which will be my definitive mold. So my work mold that I'll use for it will give you something like that. Hold on. I need to remove some of this silicone, by the way. No. So we'll give you something like that. So I've got my mold here. This is called the mother mold on the outer edge here. It's a solid plaster mother mold. It's just some sort of a shell. It's not really well done, but hey, it works. And this is the original in it. And yeah, the silicone is the in silicone mold, right? With the negative trace. This is my positive piece, my finished piece. So this is what I want. And I want to create a mold that's solid enough so that I can not mass produce them, but produce a lot of them easily. Okay, you go ahead and you are going to dry while I'm creating some kind of a cushion for my Michelangelo. Oopsie. Just hope to not to break it live would be good. Hello, Ali. This one is bigger, so just step back a little bit. Okay, my Michelangelo is in place. This is my dude, and we'll do the same. Gonna make him a little hat like that. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Mold making is pretty cool. Not as cool as actually making the original sculptures, but it's not my level yet, so I'm just making the molds at the moment. Yeah, I want to make the little copies of these. So I want to make a mini mold of just the mask. I want to make a mini mask. I'm gonna make the walls slightly taller than before. Yeah, so sorry, you can't see much here with the angle. My hands are not clean, so I can't go and change the camera position right now with my hands. But yeah, the original is made out of plaster. So the original here that I have, this thing, it's already a copy, and it was done the same way, maybe not with silicone, There's a lot of ways to make casts. You can do them with latex. You can do them with plaster as well. You can do plaster on plaster. It's a much more tricky technique, but it's still doable. Like you can mold with a lot of things. Like you can even mold with clay alone. And what I'm doing here is I'm using silicone because it's nice, easy, and flexible. Sorry, I misplaced. See how it looks? I'm gonna pour my silicone in this little pool. So the idea is I'll have a negative copy of this, the inside, and then I'll pour plaster in this little copy, and will give me a positive. ASMR juicy shot. Look at this. Oh. Pulling it all. In one go. Look at this. This is just the leftover of what was in the cup. Alright, last one, last batch. So again, 50-50. Yeah, pretty satisfying, right? Alright, so okay, let's do this. What? Okay, let's go for 50 again. There we go. Now we mix. When you mix, really make sure that you do it very evenly. Get a nice even color. Sometimes the problem is with the bottom, so you want to put it like that and just scrub the bottom. Okay, next we pour. You ready, my friend? Yeah, ready or not. It will naturally drip down, so let it slide. It's kind of dim. Now it looks even more sci-fi. First, I want to make sure that I've covered everything. Next, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rotate it. Not the eyes. Well, I don't think it's so unpleasant. I think it has to be a pretty nice experience. It's almost like being covered in just chewing gum. But it feels nice. I don't know. It's very satisfying is how you can pull it off. Like it really peels off very nicely. That's it's the best satisfaction. Exactly, he likes it. Going to be rejuvenated, a brand new set of eyes. Yeah, but it's really not sticky like honey. It's really much more gooey. It's more like bread dough, something like that. It does look yummy, yeah. I've got to say, it does look yummy. Got to make an effort not to eat it. That would be pretty stupid. I don't think it's extremely toxic. It's basically like, you know, the stuff that's in the edges of your bathroom, like in your shower, around your around your bathtub, like this little silicone thing. It's exactly the same. It's exactly the same materials. So this one is just colored blue, but it doesn't have to. There you go. That's Michelangelo done. Hold on. Just making sure it sticks. Alright, yeah, it's done. He's done. He's donezo. So my friend is going to enjoy his eye mask. Crown for a King just reminded me that scene from Game of Thrones. I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't watch this show. My wife watched it. I don't know, I never really got into it. Alright, where do you go, bro? Well, you'll be there on the side. Alright, don't move. Yeah, don't move. Okay. Let's check out our friend here. So, the best ever, is it, am I really missing out on something huge? You think? Yeah, it's not hard. It just takes a little bit of requires a bit of equipment, and your studio has to be prepared for this kind of stuff. So this is the best moments when you peel it off. So the clay goes out pretty easily, and even the silicone doesn't stick to the clay. That's pretty nice. Sometimes you have like silicone bits inside, but it's blue and all, so it's pretty easy to find. We'll still use the clay, so I'm not going to discard this one. Actually, we'll need the clay right after that, so I'll work it out a little bit. Okay, and this is the satisfying ASMR shot. Typically it should work. It's very thin, so I'm gonna go slowly because it might tear off. Normally you should do several coats, but I'm kind of cheap and I'm trying to save on the silicone coats. So it might have tear-offs, which can be a problem, but doesn't have to. Voila. Ooh. I love how crazy it looks. It's like a negative, really like negative shadows. It's insane. It like blows your mind, and you have some optical illusions with the negative shadows like that. It's a nice mask, right? But I can't use this mask right now. I'm going to explain. I can't use this mask right now because I want to explain to you. I need a mold into which I can pour plaster, right? And this one, the problem is it doesn't have walls. Notice? So I can't pour the plaster. And also, the only problem is like the mold is way too flexible on its own. So it has the perfect shape, but it can't hold the shape because it's too flexible, right? So the flexibility is a great thing, but it's slightly too flexible. So now the plan is to pour plaster in it, but we have to help it hold its shape with more clay and with this. So I'll show you what we'll do. And we want to have a mold like that in the end. So we first need to pour something like that and then do a second mold that will be like that. I don't know. I know it's might be tricky. I'm not gonna have time to go all the way to the final mold. I'll just have the plaster, the plaster first draft here in this session because of the curing time. The plaster will cure. It will take too much time for me to do the second and final mold. But whatever. So here, what I'm gonna do with scissors, I'm just going to cut out the edges, make the edges nice and clean. I want to make the edges just as how I would want them in my final version. I want to clean off all the dust. Need something to clean off this. Sorry, hard to focus on this in the camera at the same time. Same problem as it is for painting, but for painting at least I'm used to it. Okay, so I'll put it here, and then I'm gonna make a clay base to support the mask in shape, because as you saw, it's way too flimsy. It can't hold its shape, so I'm gonna make a little base like that, so that the mold can rest and stay in shape. So I'm just trying to recreate really doing something very rudimentary. And right there, I'm going to take the mold with the face. I'm going to press it down. So now the clay 100% supports the true form, right? So now I have my true form. You know, it's not wider, it's not more spread apart. And yeah, my little Dante friend here, kind of dirty, but he'll have a cleanup afterwards, so don't worry about that. Don't worry, I'll fix this afterwards. I was wondering what would be the... Okay. And now So now the trickiest part is I have to create a wall for the plaster. So another clay wall. It's the second time we do clay wall. And this time we're gonna try to make it more aesthetic, because the plaster will be printed on this wall. And then I'm gonna pour a plaster in this thing, right? But so that my plaster doesn't fall, I'll first make these tiny walls. I want to make them as high as my final mold will be. Keep in mind, I'm not doing this as a professional, you know, like this is not my trade. I'm making this with my own tools and intuition, and maybe there's a more efficient way to do it. And maybe if you're a professional sculptor, you would just look at what I do and think, oh my god, this is just bad work. I know, and I'm sorry. For a mold of the face, you would probably use alginate. It's a less, it's a natural, like alginate is come from an algae, it's made from an algae, and it's less toxic, let's say, than silicone. Even though some silicone can be used for the skin, not all. Not all. So alginate is the way to go. It's the same stuff that, you know, where, you know, the little things they sell on Amazon for, you know, to print the foot of your baby or something like that, print the hand of your kid, the little family memory present. Usually they send you alginate. And for the face, same thing. For the face, the trickiest is to make sure that you have breathing holes. That's the very tricky part, because that can be very dangerous. So you don't want to be doing it alone, because you need to cover the nostrils and all, and you still need to breathe, and it takes us a long time to set. So you really want to make sure that you're doing this properly. But you have tutorials on YouTube on how to do a face mask. It's very common. It's very common. People do it for Hollywood. They do it all the time. So it can be done. There are genuine techniques. Okay, and now I need to just clean up here. I don't want to take too long, but here, the cleaner I am right now, the less work I'll have to do afterwards. Yeah, Vaseline or some type of lotion, I think. The one of the things you need as well for a face mask is protection for your hair, so you use kitchen wrap around your hair, otherwise the molding agent is going to just catch your hair, and it's basically like having a giant chewing gum in your hair. You don't want that. Smoothing it out. I see that while I was doing this, some dust got into my mold, so I'm gonna grab the dust. I want to take a little piece of paper towel, not paper towel, masking tape, and use it to kind of stick and catch the dust. Little bits of dry clay fell in. You can also use a little brush. Okay, so let's go for the plaster. Aha, plaster. Some of you might know how to pour plaster. It's not complicated. Can you actually see? If I put it here, I'm gonna find something that you like that. I would like to see the plaster forming. Alright. So I've got my plaster right there on the bottom, so I'm just incorporating the plaster slowly by spreading it like that. Until the water saturates. As long as the plaster sinks in, and keep going. And when it stops sinking in, it means it's time. It means it's saturated. I'm getting closer, but see the island is still sinking in. Still more. Sorry, the camera has a hard time focusing. And then it's starting to sort of dry. Yeah. Okay. It's going to be kind of muddy river. You know, kind of a dried out river kind of texture. So you let it sit like that for a couple seconds until it gets the right texture. So you let it kind of set. You don't touch yet, and you touch when it starts to really, create crevices somehow. There are different ways to get the plaster the right way, depending on the texture you want and the setting time you want. Plaster is an amazing material. You pretty much do everything with it. So I want to do something completely filled. I don't want an empty cast. So I'm gonna mix it now. I'm trying to remove as many air bubbles as possible by tapping it on the table like that. Can make most of the air bubbles float back up. I can also let it set a bit. I think it will be safer if I let it set a little, because my pouring is going to be very fast, so I don't need much. With the leftover, I'll use the leftover to correct the shape of this mold. That's what I'll be doing on the side. Well, actually I'm going to do it here, so you won't see me doing it, but that's what I'll be doing. See, so now there's no air bubbles anymore, so I think it's safe to pour. I'm pouring very slowly. This way I don't have air bubbles, because the air bubbles are going to be visible. They will basically be printed in with the model. Actually, I'm gonna make it more slightly bigger than what I'm already going for. Just this is going to be the model that I'll be correcting when it's dry. So there you go. This is going to cure here. I don't know exactly how long it will take. Could take could take 20-30 minutes. I should have time to do the others. It's just this one I can't move, so I'll need to change the camera. Thanks, I'm glad you find this interesting. I don't know. Maybe I'm the only nerd who find this interesting. I was not sure, so I'm glad I'm not the only one. Sorry, I'm in the back using the leftover plaster to make a couple corrections on my mold. Just aesthetic things. See, every time I have leftover, I just use it on my previous molds. They're not their aesthetic is not essential, but the plaster is going to become gravel anyway at some point, so you just better use it, right? Yeah, I'm glad. But you know, this is I think it's important, even if you consider yourself just be, you know, just a painter, or you just only do drawing, and you don't think about this stuff. But you never know, and it's not for nothing that most of the arts are somehow connected. It's always important to know a little about modeling. Oh, thanks. I'm happy you get to enjoy the details. It's not easy, especially for me. I'm more used to you know, drawing and painting. Oops. Oh man. More used to drawing and painting, so not used to this kind of stuff. What's cool about plaster is you can apply it with your fingers. Plaster is not toxic if you use natural plaster. This is plaster of Paris. I'm just filling little holes in my mother mold here. Yeah, I'm not used to this setup. This is the first time that you're experiencing the other side of my studio. Everything is made here for looking there, looking at my painting. It's not making for looking here. But I would love to make it a part of my wall, my temporary wall fell, but it didn't affect the plaster inside. This part is just the backside, so not worried. The only really part that I'm worried is all the way down. So even if I have a fingerprint here, it will not be an issue. Thinking about painting, by the way. Can't wait to go back to my my painting schedule as well. As soon as I finish my side project of the castle, I'll go back to my, let's say, my regular paint work. And yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I can't wait. And actually, all the work on anatomy that I'll do here is actually going to help a lot. So that's cool. All right, so this will set whenever. Should we unlock another one? Should we do the Diane? See how she goes. The only thing is I still can't move my mold. My Dante here. This has to stay here for a while. It can be, I don't know. Nope. So I'll have to, like, typically I should put my stuff here and make room here. All right, so that's what I'll do. That's what I'll do. Alright, hello. Okay. The same process, we're going to remove the Apple Vision. First, we remove the clay. And this is the juicy ASMR shot. So this is annoying. This one has left way more residues. Just annoying. Got to remove all the tiny bits. Okay. This one's actually sipped in. It's sipped through. Let's take this off, shall we? There you go. There it is. Okay. Alright, so same thing. We cut off the unnecessary bits. Try to clean up. No, it's just the eyes. It's what it's called a mask, a very small mask. The idea is then to do drawing or painting exercises with this, and the idea normally would be to have the entire face, right? But the entire face is, for me, it's too heavy, too much plaster. So if I want to ever make this available for students, this would be too heavy. So I would have something. The idea is to just have a very small cast that can work as a sort of a mini exercise, but that I can easily ship from where I am without, you know, any problem whatsoever. So that's more the idea. The idea is to make it available for students with no big shipping problems, no problems of like it's not going to be too fragile. Like it should work. Because it's small, that's the idea. So right now it's more for me it's more my prototypes. It's also seeing how long it would take me to produce them, how expensive it would all be, stuff like that. Yeah, well then, if you want to have some fun after that, sure. It's just that I know that when I first started as a self-taught artist with this method, like kind of atelier style method, but as a self-taught artist, it was very difficult to find resources and materials like that. And the casts were tremendously expensive, and most of the time the shipping costs was the most expensive stuff. Like, you could find a nice cheap cast, but you'd always find shipping costs to be the most expensive of all. And this was a big problem for me as a sort of a self-taught student. So I figured I need to find a solution. I want to offer this for students of my own. No, the originals are also copies, but that I didn't cast. They were cast by professionals, by Atelier Lorenzi, from the originals. And this one, even more, like, if you want to be thinking about how remote we are to the original, this one was a Roman copy of a Greek original. So the Romans did copy, but they actually did a sculpted copy, which was very common at the time, very uncommon nowadays. Nowadays, most of the copies are plaster copies, sort of a recorded memory of the original. But back in the days, they would just, the Greek would produce the originals, and most of the surviving sculptures that we have nowadays are from the Romans. They were all made in Greece originally. Oh, they were all more or less the originals. Most of them were originated in Greece at first, but then the Romans copied them, and what we have left are mostly the Roman versions. We do have some Greek versions, but we have a lot of Roman copies. It was very common back then. That's when you realize, just doing this little silly thing is when you realize how you get it easy as a painter. It's just so relaxing and comfy. Because even something as simple as that, and I'm not sculpting, I'm not carving stone, but even something like that is way more exhausting than painting. hands down. I'm making more than a wall, I'm making almost a little ball. I'm very bad at this, so don't judge me. Just doing what works somehow-ish. Okay. I'm sorry, don't see much of what's happening inside. If it was a pre-recorded video, would take a moment to change the camera every time. But here, yeah, sorry. There's a lot that you can't really see down there. Okay. So now it's time for even more plaster, but maybe can we? We are still warm and slightly tacky, so let's not do this one. I am making copies as well, so ouch. Actually, I don't want this. That's the point, is creative company. Let's have each other's backs and support each other in creative works. Okay. Time for plaster. Okay, we're almost saturated. Almost. Yep, we are saturated. Plaster is a wonderful material. It's not noble, so it's not considered, you know, like typically if you decide to become a sculptor, it's almost like the difference between selling an oil painting and selling a work with graphite on pencil. Like, it's not noble, it's not considered, you know, the highest form of art, but I can tell you it has a subtlety and all. Like, it's amazing, and you can go directly from clay to plaster with very little effort, which makes it ideal. So if you ever want to do anything 3D, just don't think about carving stone immediately. Or just wood or sculpting on wood. Just think first about clay, plaster, and then... So you would go from the softest to the hardest. The softest being the clay. It's absolutely soft and malleable. Plaster is it dries, but it hardens. It's pretty hard, but it's still soft. And obviously marble, stone, or whatever, that's very, very hard. That's what you want to do last. And that's also what you do in the process. You like it typically, even if you want to carve marble, you would need to learn how to properly use plaster before you can touch the marble, because you need a copy. The plaster is the sort of the ideal copy, the draft, before you make the final work. And to me, like, it's a beautiful material. It has a beauty of its own. I love a beautiful cast like that. For example, this, look at this, it's almost as good. Like, I wouldn't want a marble copy, I want the original plaster copy, because I know that it's perfectly shaped on the model. Nobody took a chisel and tried to re-sculpt it again. It's the original form that the original painter wanted. And the material is less noble, but if it's properly cast, molded and cast, well, it's just as good as the original, for me at least. I love how it looks. And it almost looks like a great piece of art of its own, like a great work of art. Almost as good as the original, for me at least. Chasing air bubbles. Let's check out my poll. Would you be interested in seeing sculpting or modeling streams from time to time? Yes, 89%. No, 10%. I understand the no. Like, I understand that if you're not into sculpting, into modeling at all, like, you don't see the point. And it's kind of, yeah, what's the point, right? So I'm pouring slowly. And there you go. Okay. So I think if we're lucky, we can see this mold coming out of right now, and crossing fingers, but for the sake of content and for the sake of you guys, I'm going to take it off. Take it off of this shell of clay. It's maybe, I don't know, how risky is it? Because it might still be kind of soft. And it's too soft. It's too soft. We have time for Q&A, or we have time for something. 10-20 minutes maybe. Will I resist? Well, I'll do 10 minutes of Q&A or something, and I'll, because right now if I unpack it, it's risky. Or yeah, well, let's do it. It's just, this is my problem. I'm just too excited with this stuff. And I take too many risks. But I'm gonna go very slowly and try to be very gentle. I'll be very gentle because the plaster is still very soft. So right now, if I put a fingerprint on it, it will just print it very easily. It's still soft-ish, you know. But I'll do this. Well, this is my working. This is my working model, so I don't mind if. There you go. We have a mask of Dante. There you go. It's looking nice. I like it. Now, I made this one on purpose, you know, but I'll wait for this stuff. I'm just showing you guys. This is just the eyes of Dante, and see, the form is perfectly copied. Just a mini mask, really how I want it. Now, when the plaster will be more workable, but here I'm not going to take the risk, even though, because, you know, you can take off and clean off the edges, but the problem is, like, it might be too crumbly and you might chip off more than you want. So I'm not gonna do that. But there you go, this is what I have. So I have this mask that this area right here looks good. I'm gonna correct, I'm gonna clean the edges, then I'll put it like that, flat like here, flush on the ground, and I'm gonna make a working mold, and so a much bigger mold that will have a more, you know, kind of industrial level kind of shape. So a mold that's more solid, that this one kind of was a flimsy kind of sock kind of quality mold, very flimsy, and I'm gonna make a very solid mold. That's step number 2. That I'm gonna do it tomorrow because this needs time to set and really cure. So I'll do that tomorrow. And when I have this, I'll make this to put on top. This is a mother mold, and this is kind of a big mold that you put your little mold in. So that will be the end, and I'll do that. And after that, I can take this. This was my first draft as well. So this was my first draft for this model here. This one, I can discard it. I don't need it. I'm gonna keep it if I need to make another mold, for example. This was just used, and this Dante here is just used to make the final mold. So you can discard it if you want, or you can keep it for later if you need to make another one. And then this is where you do, every time you want to make a copy, you use this. You make a copy, and when you make the copy, you try to leave a hole in the back to make it, to make it lighter. You also use the little mesh and little hanging bars like that. So that's what you need. For this one though, it will be tricky. This little stick here, there's not a lot of space to put a sort of a hanging system. I'll see what I can do. So there you go. That's it. That's it. Well, it's just to hang it on the wall. Like, you would just use a little hook on your wall and just hang it. It's much better than than without. Like sometimes they have like little pieces. This is the most solid you can have, and if you have like, yeah, typically for the final mold, you also want to incorporate, and this is some stuff that I didn't show, is you want to incorporate some mesh in your plaster for your final. So you want to first, but this one is so small, so I'll see how I can do. I need to study it because it's very small. You do a first pour, you let dry, do a second pour with the mesh to fortify, and then you do a third. So you pour the plaster like with layers. The plaster always holds on to more plaster, so you can stack it up if you do it properly, and it can be very strong and very durable. So there you go. So it's still, this one is still wet and it's kind of sweating almost. It's still, I feel it. It's almost like a sweaty little thing. So I need to let it cool down. See, it's evaporating here on my table. I need to let it cool down, let it, do its thing. It's warming up because the plaster curing is a chemical reaction and it produces heat, so it is going to warm up a little bit. And so I'm gonna need to let it do its thing and come back when it's more dry. Okay, my friends, this was this lesson on casting. I don't know if it's a lesson. This session on casting, it was fun. For me, it was fun. I had to do it. I figured, well, let's do this. Let's make it a sort of an event session. So I hope you enjoyed. Some things to learn for those interested. Okay, my friends, I'm gonna keep my my silicone. I'm gonna take my silicone and plaster and just say goodbye. And thank you for being here as always. Joy and inspiration to you, my friends. I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye, my friends.